Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
A little slippery, slip and sliding getting here this morning. We made it. Okay, if we can get a motion to approve the minutes from January 15th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And Jerry.
On the 28th, we concurred with the Chester Township trustees in not requesting a hearing on the liquor license requested by Above Board Ventures LLC, doing business as Truck Stop Bar and Grill, located at 8491 Mayfield Road in Chester. That was actually a change of ownership. It wasn't anything new per se. And then for Water Resources, I approved three of their annual service contracts. One for free-to-bow well drilling for 1 year, not to exceed $5,000. CUE Excavating LLC, general excavating services for the water section for 2 years, not to exceed $20,000, $10,000 per year. And for Bergman Associates Incorporated, maintenance, installation, telemetry, and control systems for the water system for 1 year, not to exceed $10,000.
Okay. Get a motion, please.
So moved.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Sorry. It's just a report.
Okay. Morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good, good. Today's financials include a cash transfer from the general fund to JFS Public Assistance to reimburse them for an insurance claim that was paid by Corsa, and the funds were deposited into the general fund. Cash transfer from the general fund to the liability self-insurance in the amount of $7,500 to fund upcoming liability insurance co-payments, deductible payments over the next year. Encumbrances included then and now from JFS to CMS Website Services LLC for amounts not previously encumbered for final payments of website template customization for 2018, and a travel request from Water Resources to attend the 2019 Infrastructure Funding Seminar in Columbus. Vouchers include $160,106 from ADP to Tyler Technologies for software maintenance and tech support for 2019, $32,784.09 from the Commissioner's Office to Trumbull County Treasurer for our pro rata share of the 11th District Court of Appeals 2018 expenses, and finally $159,890 from the Juvenile Court to the Portage Geauga Juvenile Detention Center for their first quarter commitment.
Just real quick, the ADP Tyler Technologies software maintenance support, I'm familiar with. Do you know the percentage increase from last year roughly?
I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but it was about an $8,000 increase over last year.
Okay. And it sounds like maybe the idea is to get more out of that system, I think, moving forward, correct? I mean, have you heard?
Yeah, I think the auditor is looking to try and utilize more and more of the software as we go forward.
Okay.
Or make changes, to the software itself. I know he wanted, and you and I had talked about this, about hiring a programmer in order to do a little bit more with that and do some things in-house as opposed to having to hire out for it.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. We could get a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillers?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adrian.
Okay. Nick, morning.
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 Item 4 on the agenda is just to get into the board to approve the resolution to reduce maximum load limit by 33% during the once this freeze in Geauga happened to protect our infrastructure.
Right. Now, this will, I'm sorry, I didn't read it. This will stay on?
It'll start February 15th is our recommendation, and then we watch the weather, watch temperatures, and then,
So you'll take it off when?
Then we'll do the same thing. We'll ask her for a release from the
Okay.
commissioner. So usually
Depending on the weather.
Depending on the weather, usually it's mid-April to, end of April.
And that's just to keep the weight limits down?
Right. Any load that can be split, possibly they have to reduce it.
Okay.
So anything being hauled has to be split. Obviously, they're not allowed the construction we're not in the construction season, so there's not that ORC grant of a little extra weight, so.
What if there's like a, you know, say a piece of heavy equipment,
They would
construction?
have to apply for
For
us
permit?
for a permit, and if we are in a thaw period, we'll actually deny it.
Okay,
So,
okay.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Capano?
Aye.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
5. Shane, good morning.
Good morning.
You been out skiing?
Sure.
Huh? Whenever there's snow.
Teaching the
right?
little ones up at Alpine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, good times.
I know. I see you up there.
So today we have 4 items on the agenda. The first one is the replacement of 12 culverts on Wilson Mills Road between County Line Road and 306. It's in preparation for the resurfacing project that will be coming later in the season through OPWC. The second one is the construction of a approximately 4,000 square foot storage building on our facility to move some of the equipment that is currently being stored outside and keep it indoors, prolong the useful life of that equipment. And some of our crack seal material and stuff needs to be kept indoors. The item number 7 is the resurfacing of Menor Road. It'll be from the chosen city limits to the Lake County limits. It's about 4.8 miles of Menor Road, and the estimate is $950,000. That is an OPWC supported project funded from last year's submissions. And a section of Munn Road from Washington Street to Stafford, it's approximately 1.48 miles of road, and the estimate is $425,000. That project was also supported in part by Ohio Public Works through last year's project submissions.
Okay. Get a reading on that.
The County Engineer's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute Resolution 1911 to order the improvement of Wilson Mills Road, CH 8, Sections A through C in Chester Township. This resolution also requests the Board approve and execute the title sheet and the specifications for the same. And further, this resolution sets a bid opening on Wednesday, February 20, 2019 at 2:15 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised January 31st, 2019 and on the county website. The County Engineer's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute Resolution number 19-12 to order the construction of a steel building at 12665 Merritt Road, Clarendon Township. This resolution also requests the Board approve the plans and specifications for the same. Further, this resolution sets a bid opening on Wednesday, February 20th, 2019 at 2:20 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised January 31st, 2019 on the county website. The County Engineer's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute Resolution number 19-13 to order the improvement of Menor Road, CH 5, Sections G through K in Chardon Township. This resolution also requests the Board approve and execute the title sheet of the specifications for the same. Further, this resolution sets a bid opening on Wednesday, February 20, 2019 at 2:25 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised January 31st, 2019 on the county website. The County Engineer's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute Resolution number 19-14 to order the improvement of Munn Road, CH 32, Section D in Auburn Township. This resolution also requests the Board approve and execute the title sheet for the specifications for the same. Further, this resolution sets a bid opening on Wednesday, February 20, 2019 at 2:30 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised January 31st, 2019 and on the county website.
Motion, please.
Make a motion on items 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye. Thank you, Shane.
Gentlemen. See you soon. Take care now. Thank you.
Okay.
Jim Smith.
Morning, Jim. How are you?
Good morning, John.
How's everybody?
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for coming in today. You know, I think I'll let you start and
Yeah,
just
want me to
explain
kick it off?
the background here.
Sure, I'll give you some background. I know I forwarded the draft resolution to each of you. Actually, Commissioner Lennon approached me a few weeks ago about this issue, and I think that you had spoken to Commissioner Serino up in Lake County.
Correct.
And this is about a court case down in the Southern District of Ohio in federal court, which has been, it's been in the Plain Dealer at Cleveland.com. They've been kind of following it. And I've been following it. I think most lawyers are kind of following it. And what had happened, just to give you background, the American Civil Liberties Union, their legal counsel, on behalf of the Legal Women Voters and then various electors, they got voters in each of the Ohio's congressional districts, filed a lawsuit in federal court alleging that there's a lot of allegations, but the main thing is that our current congressional districts are drawn in an unconstitutional manner. So this litigation actually started before the ballot initiative last May to redo our districting process.
That was issue one.
Exactly. So issue one in Ohio was a constitutional amendment that overwhelmingly passed in our county and in the state, statewide. And what issue one did was created a new bipartisan way of drawing congressional districts, because there has been some criticism about, you know, how the districts have been drawn. You know, since the beginning of time in this country, whoever is in power is generally drawn the districts in a way that favors themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been challenged over the years in courts all over the country. But this is a big push recently to, my 2 cents, the people who don't like how the districts are being drawn want it changed. You know, that's always the case, right? And the people who are drawing them don't want them changed. But so the state and various stakeholders have been litigating this matter down in court, and it's not really something that I would have ever seen us getting involved in. But something changed recently, which is what I think alarmed you, Tim,
right,
and Commissioner Serino up in Lake County. This case, as it's moving along, it's in front of a 3-judge panel, and what the ACLU did was they submitted to the court a map that the ACLU drew as a proposed new map to take effect for the 2020 election. So I printed that out just so you have kind of a reference.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sure. If you want to give it to Jerry.
Sure.
So there's a few aspects to this that are concerning. One, the map that the ACLU is proposing would be very bad for Geauga County and its residents. It would, instead of us being a compact district where our entire county lies within one congressional district, we'd actually be split in half. Our more populous side of the county along the 306 corridor would be part of a new district that would be based out of Akron. It would be eastern Cuyahoga County and all of Summit County. And then the more rural portion of our county, Chardon and Points East, would be part of a new district that would stretch from Thompson all the way down into Holmes County. But it would be centered out of Canton. So
Stark, Portage.
Yeah, Stark, Portage, Wayne, and Holmes. So, you know, the problem with being split up like that, I think the concerns that were raised under this scenario, you know, we basically have a congressional representative from Akron and a congressional representative from Canton, most likely. And I don't foresee them paying a lot of attention to us.
Yeah, exactly. And not to interrupt, but I feel that if this were to be enacted, we would truly be immediately represented in the minority in both of these districts.
That's likely. And, you know, I think there's a lot of political undertones to this, which, as a lawyer, I've tried to stay away from. And I agree with you. I mean, I think that this map is drawn in a way because the ACLU, frankly, I think in this lawsuit is favoring one political party over another. And I think the map that they proposed, shows that. What the issue for, and we've talked to, Lake County, and we're talking to Ashtabula County. Actually, I got an email very late last night from their prosecutor that they are going to consider similar resolutions. So Ashtabula may be in on this effort. But I know today at the Lake County Commissioners meeting and this evening at the Ashtabula County's Commissioners meeting, they are considering similar resolutions that's better before you. And the thought was, you know, amongst the prosecutors, we've kind of talked that we would, you know, what we've been talking about, and I think what, you know, I know what you want, Tim. I mean, Tim's shown a lot of leadership on this, and with Jerry up in Lake County, is for, you know, the prosecutors in the 3 counties to kind of file a joint brief with the court, just expressing our objections and concerns over this proposed map. And what's interesting is, you know, the ACLU is complaining about, you know, some of these irregularly drawn districts, but if you look at our current 14th district, it's pretty compact. I mean, if you look at how our, you know, we've kind of got the northeast corner of the state. It's a pretty compact district. Geauga, Lake, Ashtabula are all within that district, wholly within that district. And you know, we've been doing some research, and since the 1950s, with the exception of the Sherrod Brown years, Geauga's always been in the same district as Lake and Ashtabula in kind of a block.
Right.
And so what the ACLU is saying is, well, we don't like these irregularly drawn districts down in Hamilton County and in Cuyahoga County. But if we're gonna, but for Geauga, Lake, Ashtabula, Trumbull, yeah, we'll draw an irregularly one for you guys.
Right.
And so, you know, I think there's some hypocrisy going on here with the ACLU and the proposed map. So, if you're interested in this effort, I have a feeling Lake County's going to pass a resolution. I have a strong sense. I'm not sure about Ashtabula. I think that they're 50-50. They've been kind of educating themselves on it. But if you do pass a resolution, then our office would work with the Lake County Prosecutor's Office and possibly the Ashtabula County Prosecutor's Office. We would file a joint brief in the Southern District case, and it would just be from the standpoint of our congressional district and our residents and how this would affect us.
And you know, I think this goes beyond bipartisanship, even though it does feel that there's a sense of that. But I think what it is, you know, the people have spoken in these districts, and it should not be placed in the hands of a federal court, right? Or a judge to decide that. The people have already decided, and they spoke loudly on issue 1. You know, if the voters determined otherwise, you know, I have an issue with you know, a 3-panel judges, you know, turning that over. So I'm in full support of, you know, filing our objection to this.
The other, just to jump in, I mean, and you're absolutely right. I mean, 3 unelected judges are going to impose a map versus, you know, we had democratically elected officials throughout the state draw this map.
Exactly.
And by the way, this map's been, what, 8 years?
Exactly.
This has been going on?
It went through the previous administration, you know, when there was, you know, when they were winning.
Exactly.
It was fine then, you know, so.
So the other thing, what would even be, so there was a belief that once we pass the redistricting reform in Ohio, that the lawsuit would kind of go away, because why would you keep the lawsuit going, right? We're gonna, after the next census, we have a new bipartisan redistricting, you know, process. Why are we still fighting over this law? Because they want this instituted for the 2020 elections.
Absolutely.
And they're pushing to have a trial in March and get this map imposed upon us for just one election. Because then they're gonna be, so we could go from having 1 congressional representative now to 2 for the 2 years after 2020, and then those maps are going to get redrawn
because
again.
Because the census comes out.
Because of the census.
Yeah.
So I put in the resolution, we could have as many as 4 different, we probably likely would have 4 different congressional representatives in a 3-year period.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so.
And that would just be confusing the voters over and over again.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
from district lines.
Well, yeah, and the other thing we've looked at too is, you know, it really diminishes your influence in Washington. I mean, whether it's a Republican or Democrat in there, and I try to take personalities and party, again, I'm putting my lawyer hat on, and I'm trying to take personalities and parties out of it, but, you know, when you have somebody that's got some seniority there, you have more influence, right?
That's
I mean,
right.
we can get more stuff done. And when you don't,
that's what I meant by being in the minority as far as representation.
Exactly.
You know, and really by populace, we'll be the minority, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you had a congressional representative in the part of the district that's going to be based out of Stark County, and I don't know what these numbers shake out as, but even if you had one that was the same political party as your voters in the eastern half of the county, it's still we don't have a lot of people in the district. It's just not
Exactly. You know,
why are they going to pay any attention to us?
Yeah.
You know, we're up at the the far end of both districts. So, yeah. So do you
Yeah.
have any other questions or concerns?
I'm good.
I'm with you on the resolution.
Yeah.
Appreciate you bringing this
And
forward.
then, just to be clear, you know, this is not gonna, you know, obviously Jim's gonna do, you know, a lot of the heavy lifting along with the Lake County prosecutors team. And it's not gonna be, we're not going for outside counsel and it's, you know, as far as incurring legal fees or expenses to the county, you know, Jim's gonna handle our part of this.
So there'd be no fees at all for us?
No, it's
So
all going to be
that's-
done in-house
Yeah.
with all the
Yeah,
counties.
just to be
So,
clear, yeah.
so yeah, no extra expenditure other than, you know, obviously the time we're spending on it. But and yeah, just I did draft the resolution and I've done some work on this. But really, actually, Tim brought this to me as an idea from Jerry.
Well,
up
Jerry,
in
yeah,
Lake
he's
County.
really been, he's the one that kind of picked this thing off, and he started calling around and rallying, you know, just making people aware of what was about to happen here. And we're kind of, I wouldn't say we're late to the party, but we can still get our foot in the door here. And
It really wasn't our fight until this map issue came up, which
Exactly.
was very recent.
Yeah,
You know,
and that's
because
alarming, you know.
Exactly. I mean, when, you know, there were other stakeholders that were fighting this for a period of time, and really, I wouldn't have told you to get involved in it earlier, but once this map came out, and you can see what they're trying to do to our county, then I think that, you know, I feel, you know, there's an obligation to our residents to try to, you know,
I agree.
protect their influence in Washington.
in their voice, and they've spoken.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, but Diane?
Yeah. Question for Prosecutor Flace, a couple of questions. All right, do we consider this an amicus curiae?
Yes, that's what it would
Okay,
be.
all right, and I read the whole 54-page brief, and I gotta tell you, I found it compelling for probably no other reason than that the League of Women Voters of Ohio was involved, and I've seen some of the maps, and the situation that you're describing for Geauga County is rampant in other areas of the state. And while I would be unhappy to see our influence diminished, I think what we have to be aware of is that what this brief is arguing is that consistently over the last 3 elections, the Republicans have, and I'll put it in quotation marks, have rigged the districting so that they consistently wind up with a 12-4 advantage based on 16 congressional districts. And it does, and there's some documentation in here based on 2 or 3 different independent analysts that indicate that Ohio's redistricting map is 97% more skewed than many others, and skewed 97% of all district maps since 1972. And again, it's an allegation, but it appears to be a serious one, and it would appear that there have been issues in Michigan, Wisconsin, and North Carolina that have been victorious for the same plaintiffs. So just something.
Yeah, this is playing out all over the country.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep, so it's compelling. I would be grateful to know that this was your action, Commissioner Lennon, and not the result of any Republican Central Committee decision.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, this is, purely, like Jim said, the Lake County Commissioner, Jerry Serino, had really been on the forefront of this and bringing this to our attention, and I definitely agree with what he's saying. I'm looking at it purely from a standpoint of Geauga County, And I think this is, out of the 3 counties, it affects all of us, but most certainly Geauga County is what this map is suggesting or proposing to do. Geauga County, I think, would be detrimental to our representation there in our district, so.
I would,
What court is this going to be heard in?
Cincinnati.
yeah, Southern District of Ohio.
There's a 3-judge.
It's a federal court.
Yeah, federal.
There's a 3-judge panel.
Cincinnati.
And the argument is basically it's First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, and 14th Amendment, right?
Yeah, their main argument, in the past, most of the successful challenges to congressional maps have been due to packing along racial lines. I mean, that's usually the winning argument. What they're trying here is they're trying a First Amendment argument and basically arguing that their free speech rights are being suppressed by the way that the districts are drawn. That's their main argument.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's political undertones to this. I mean, this is going on across the country in several
Yeah, it
different
is.
states. And when President Obama left office, basically Eric Holder, his Attorney General, he is now running
This
a
is his
national.
mission.
This is his
Yeah.
mission. He's running a national operation to challenge Republican-drawn congressional districts.
Absolutely.
I mean, I haven't seen this lawsuit in California. So.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to inject partisanship into it because I'm looking at it from a legal perspective. But I mean, you raised some good points from the brief. They're looking at Marcy Kaptur's district and the one down in Hamilton County. There are a couple very irregularly drawn districts. However, ours is not currently, and what they're proposing would make it irregularly drawn. So I just think it's very hypocritical.
Absolutely.
I mean, the ACLU doesn't like the Democrat-packed districts, but they're gonna dilute the Geauga County's district and cut our
That's
county in
right.
half.
Well, you're one of 4 that they're after, correct?
Yes, yeah. But, and I don't have, again, I'm not looking at this politically, I don't have all the, the polling numbers or the index numbers, at my fingertips, but it's always been my understanding that our 14th district is pretty fair. It's pretty evenly, I mean, I think the last couple elections, you've seen Lake and Ashtabula, there's been kind of a,
It was a shift.
a big shift.
Yeah.
A big shift in those counties from what they've historically done. But based on historical numbers, I think the 14th's always been pretty compact and pretty fairly distributed among ideology.
Can you, just for everyone's knowledge, just explain what a amicus brief is?
So we would not become parties to the case, which would involve a lot of work and be expensive. And at this late stage, they wouldn't let us intervene as a party to the case anyway. So what a friend of the court brief is, it's the translation from Latin, what a friend of the court brief is basically, we file with the court, we say, hey, we're interested parties, we don't want to be a party to the case, we don't want to litigate the case or intervene in the action formally, but we want to make our position known on behalf of our constituents, and these are our arguments as they relate to the 14th district. We're not going to get involved in these other issues down in Hamilton County or out in Toledo. That's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on, basically what we're going to tell the court, to summarize, is the 14th's a fairly drawn district, and you're looking to split it up. And that is not fair to our residents, and you're also looking to change this basically for one election, when our voters have overwhelmingly approved a new bipartisan process, but you're still trying to ram through, for one election cycle, a brand new congressional district. So that's what we're focusing on, not the partisan issues, not what's going on in the rest of the state, what is relevant to our congressional district.
Right. And thank you for explaining that. And just to be clear, the heavy lifters, the plaintiffs in this case, is the ACLU and the League of Women Voters.
Yes, and the one thing, it's a little misconception, the League of Women Voters has 2 arms. They have the nonpartisan running our election night arm, and then they have the
packed version?
which is
very
Yes.
partisan.
Yes, which is, in my opinion, is partisan. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So, there's two different, and what they brought the lawsuit on behalf of are not the nice folks that run our candidates' nights. This is the other arm of it.
Okay.
That is, and again, I think it's telling that, who they're represented by and who's pushing this.
How legitimate is the A. Philip Randolph Institute?
That's what the League of Women Voters
That's
political
their
arm calls
political
itself.
arm?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the A.
Gotcha.
Philip Randolph Institute, League of Women Voters, Ohio. That's
That was
the political
deceptive.
arm.
That
Yeah.
was deceptive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if we could get a reading of the
The
resolution,
prosecutor's
please.
office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 19-15, requesting the prosecuting attorneys to file a brief on behalf of Geauga County in the pending action in federal court challenging Oregon's current congressional district boundaries.
I so move.
Second?
Jim, how quickly is this
Yes.
gonna be decided?
Yes.
Yes.
Right now, it's set for trial in March. We're looking to file our brief within the next couple of weeks. And then, whatever the trial court decides, it'll go up to the Sixth Circuit, or it'll probably go to the Sixth Circuit, they'll probably seek a stay in the Supreme Court. There's active litigation in Pennsylvania and North Carolina. The U.S. Supreme Court just came out with a pretty big decision on redistricting that I don't think was favorable to the ACLU in this case. So, I'm not sure, I don't, looking at who the three-judge panel is and who appointed them, I'm concerned about the result at the district court level. So, one of the assistant prosecutors in my office used to work for the Ohio Secretary of State's in the elections law section. So she's got a lot of experience with the judges in federal court and how they rule, and she expressed some concern about the decision makers at the trial court level here. So, because she's done a lot of this litigation for the state.
So what happens if they say yes? Then what's the next action that can be done?
Well, then they would appeal it up to the Sixth Circuit, which is our appellate court for the federal, that's based in Cincinnati. And they would probably seek some sort of stay to try to stop this. Eventually it would probably go to the U.S. Supreme Court. So, I'll come back, depending on what happens at the trial court level, if you want us to file a brief in the Sixth Circuit, I'll come back to you, we could talk about that. If we want to file a brief in the U.S. Supreme Court, I could talk to you about that. I'm admitted in both of those courts, so, I could do that if the county had an interest in filing a similar arguments as it goes up. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Thank you very much for
Thanks.
coming in. I appreciate
No, thank you.
your leadership on that. I
No,
appreciate it.
thanks for
Yeah.
bringing it up. I think it's
Yeah.
a great point.
Okay. Morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? Cold. But it's supposed to get nasty tomorrow. Minus 17.
Yeah.
What this is, we've been trying to replace the cameras in the cars a little bit at a time, much like we did with the computers. As other departments in the county, fire departments and police departments are replacing theirs, we're taking the old ones and trying to keep ours running. And so each year, we're applying for as many grants as we can, just to maintain that replacement schedule. So this is for 5 cameras through the Ohio Criminal Justice System Services grant, and we're just plugging along, get them all replaced.
Good. How many do you have, or how many more do you need, I guess? It's probably a better question.
Probably have, I'm sure we have probably close to 50 cameras.
Total.
And the new ones, we probably have maybe 15, this will go up to 20 or 25.
Okay.
It's a better system too.
Yeah.
The lens is better, it's better than the back seat, everything's new technology.
And then next year we could apply for more.
Oh, yeah.
Just the whole idea, we'll keep going
Yeah.
and we get them all. That's what we do with the computers, we never had to go out and buy those prosecutors, all of them were helped out
Mhm.
with the grants, and we expect.
Do you ever
the same
get,
thing.
you know, local business people and residents of the county ever helping donate, you hear about dogs and equipment?
We did
and-
just get a donation from Beth Sand,
Fairmont.
Minerals.
Yeah.
It's gonna enable us to buy a couple radios, a couple new replacement radios. So,
Good.
yeah, they do occasionally.
Yeah.
The Rotary, funded for the dog
Right.
5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Because I think, people like to support law enforcement and find ways, avenues where they can help, and, that's putting the money right to the road kind of thing, and, just making it aware that, that's available and that that's an option for people to do,
Yeah, dogs are easy. They, totally dogs,
Yeah.
4-H group, and, people like dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
More than humans.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the truth, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Great, well, appreciate everything you do, and this is a important equipment for you guys here.
Yes.
Okay, if we could get a reading for that, please.
The Sheriff's Office is requesting the Board approve and authorize the President of the Board to execute the Office of Criminal Justice Services video camera replacement pre-award conditions and standard assurances forms for grant 2018 JG A02-6468 in the amount of $25,975, $19,481.25 from OCJS, and $6,439.75 local county match from the general fund. This grant is for the period January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Mr. Spiller?
Aye.
Mr. Lundey?
Yes. Great, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Be safe. Jessica, how are you?
Great, how are you?
You're doing it.
It's frost, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 11 and 12. 11, one of our recreation and education assistants, Lorena Nash, she did resign with us. Very short notice, but unforeseeable circumstances. She hopes to come back at some point later on down the road or volunteer. So wonderful employee. We'd love to have her back at some point.
Okay. Good reading on
And then-
that, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Christy. You can read that
The
one.
Department on Aging is requesting the Board accept the resignation of Lorena Mass Recreation and Education Assistant to be effective January 25th, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Mr. Spiller?
Aye.
Mr. Lundey?
Aye.
And number 12, my apologies, the need to amend the motion. We did some retitling of positions, and I in error had the wrong title on the page, so my apologies for that. So I'm asking to amend the motion with the correct title of the advertisement we had on Thursday, and then with Mrs. Mast's resignation to add an additional position
Okay.
to advertise for.
So you're adding an additional position or just going out to,
So we already had advertised for a recreation and education assistant on Thursday.
okay.
Mrs. Mass resigned the very next
I
day,
see.
so now we need to fill her position
Okay,
as
yep.
well.
Fact.
Very
Yeah.
good.
So it's just increasing.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, not
So
a new
just-
position,
Yep.
just a replace.
Very good. Get a reading on that, please.
The Department on Aging is requesting the Board amend the motion from January 24th, 2019 to correct the title and increase the number of positions advertised to read grant permission to advertise for the position of full-time recreation and education assistant number 1005 and further increase the current posting from 1 to 2 positions. These positions will remain posted until filled.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Lundey?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Morning, Dave.
Morning. Hi, Dave. How you guys doing? Good.
Sure.
Glad to be back.
Yes, busy.
So, requesting this board to grant permission to the Department of Development to advertise for the position of program administrator. That's on grade 11, 1402. And it's an important position. We've talked about it. And this will complete our staffing needs with what we have to manage in front of us. And in anticipation, I think, of some of the needs that will come out of our pending strategic plan.
Yeah. Okay.
Read that, please.
The Department of Development is requesting the Board grant permission to advertise for the position of program administrator number 1402. This position will remain posted until filled.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Mr. Spiller?
Yes.
Mr. Lundey?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yep,
Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate it.
Bye now.
Catch up. Roger. it going?
Morning as well, how are you?
Good. Hey, so with the cold weather coming, do you guys get involved in that at all?
Actually, I've got an email ready to get sent out this morning.
Okay.
That just gives updates to all the fire chiefs, JFS, and AJ on what's going to go on with warming centers.
So we keep an eye on, you know, elderly and different.
Yeah, and our office has also been splashing out updates from the National Weather Service as we get them. So
Okay.
as we get updates, we try to get them out to you. So.
Okay.
Number
14 through
14 through
18.
18. Approximately 10, 12-ish years ago, our agency was able to get a grant money from Homeland Security, which permanently installed 5 generators at these 5 different fire departments to be used as shelters. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to clean our books up a little bit with inventory because they are permanently installed at these communities. So, and as well, I'm trying to get them off of our PM list. So, because we've been doing the maintenance and repair costs on these generators for the last 10 or 12 years.
So the county does it, or the townships do it?
No, the county was doing it.
Okay, but
So-
the townships will
Yeah, so
assume
now-
that.
Yes, because they're permanently installed, so they're going to become the property of
Absolutely.
the community. So it's the 5 generators: Thompson, Parkman, Montville, Hamden, and Troy townships.
Okay.
And they're all good with the taking over that responsibility then?
I had Laura draw up an agreement, and it took me almost 4 months to get them out to the township trustees and then back. But we got them all, so.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, why just some townships and not others?
Because these fire stations were designated as shelter locations
Okay.
for the community, and you'll see that they're located throughout. You know, you've got Parkman and Troy on one side, you've got Hamden, Montville on the other.
I see. Okay.
Thompson, I'm sorry.
In each one, you would know how many, like, cots that it would, each fire
Yeah,
department
each
would be
fire,
available?
each fire department already has shelter surveys done, and they're done by the Red Cross. The Red Cross has all the numbers.
Okay.
So these are our designated shelters, and then we also have other shelter areas that in a pinch we have other locations available.
That sounds good.
Do you ever get information from the engineer's office? Because for years and years, each township had to report in all the equipment that they had inventory on.
Right.
And then this year is the first year that they don't have to do that.
So what we do is we also, through the Fire Chiefs Association, we get copies of all the fire department inventories throughout the entire county. We also, this is all inventory that's reported in through the auditor's office through our inventories. So this is all stuff that is reported out to all the fire chiefs, including where the generators are, including where the tankers are, including where the trailers are. So it's all part of a mass.
Yeah.
Because I would think that if all this inventory from the township equipment, backhoes, trucks and stuff, if there was a major disaster in the county, that you would know what each township has, like 2 backhoes, or there's a major storm, or if a plane goes down in Geauga County, a major disaster.
And that's what's that's what's really great about how we have our thing set up, is we bring in the locals, because nobody knows Hamden better than Hamden. Nobody knows Troy better. So we get those people around the table, and that's how we get all of our information, the most up-to-date, you know, who's got what's out of service, what's in service, you know, and it's also, a lot of that is also thought of the state of Ohio, so the state is also maintaining it.
Okay.
So it's a huge cluster of information that we disseminate at the time, and do a lot of just-in-time notification. This is where, it's just like with the warming centers. You know, we don't pre-publish where all the warming centers, and we let that jurisdiction know what's happening when they need it. So, because information changes, you know, evacuation routes change, bridges are out, so it's all immediate for this stuff.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So if we could get a motion to approve items 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes,
I
sir.
didn't want you to have to read all that.
Thanks.
Saving your voice.
Thanks.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How are you, sir? So when it gets real cold, what happens to water?
What are you like?
Freezes. It freezes.
And it tends
Like
to
a
destroy
Seinfeld show?
pipes.
And then what?
and-
Yeah.
And my guys are out freezing.
Yes.
And all the.
But I've already checked, they're all prepared.
Okay.
Getting ready for tonight and tomorrow. We already had a little taste of it last week. So, we're ready.
Ready to go?
Ready to go, ready to
Okay.
execute. I'll have them lined up in formation for inspection.
Yeah, right. I love it. Yeah.
So the Department of Water Resources, we're requesting the board approve and execute contract maintenance form number 1, increasing the contract with Fiore's Group LLC to include 2 additional locations for lawn maintenance during this year. And that would increase in the amount of $8,250. And that would allow us not to have our
Yeah.
folks drive out and do all that work.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
And you do your own plowing, right? I mean, for these locations, you got your own, yeah.
We have our own, we have piping.
Yeah. That is being very proactive. I like the sound of cutting grass. That sounds nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you think we have to load up the riding roller, we gotta take it out there, and we have to pay.
Yeah, no, this
our guys.
100% agreement. All right, if we can read that, please.
The Department of Water Resources is requesting the board approve and execute contract maintenance form number 1, increasing the contract with Fiore's Group LLC to include 2 additional locations for lawn maintenance during the year 2019, at $2,250.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, just a couple things, order revisions next Monday. ADP is having a special meeting at the auditor's office at 11 a.m. Nowaka. I'm sure you're all familiar with your times to be there. And new member training, Jim, you're heading to Columbus for
Yes.
new commissioner training. All right, any questions, discussion, anything? Make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
What do you think of the new planning commissioner? Yeah, this thing.
Oh my God, I can't believe that.
We would essentially be zeroing out. Right. I hate to be part of it. Yeah. We're giving, I know the resume to be part of it, but.
It's a total point, it's a total place.
And it's about this next election. They're making, yeah. They know this is, you know, I hate to say it, but a lot of people live because of the value of where they live. You know, if they wanted to be in a big metropolis, they'd be out in LA. But they want to live here because this is conservative.